In this video, we're gonna be going over a 3-step process of how to get a job in the sports industry. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. What is up? Welcome back. Pete here. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Gottschalk, content producer at Major League Baseball. And as I mentioned in today's video, I want to go over a 3-step process of how to get a job in the sports industry, or get your foot in the door at least, and set yourself up for success. I'm going to start with your high school years, and then we're going to work into your college years, what you should be looking for, what you should be studying and doing, and then working into like post-grad, where to look for jobs, how to get jobs, and whatnot. So that's how I'm going to break it down for y'all. A little bit about myself. I worked as a student intern doing sports videography for all our sports at Georgia: football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, soccer, men's basketball, whatever it be, all kinds of things there. I got an internship at DC United in Major League Soccer in 2019 in between my junior and senior years. And now I've worked at MLB since I graduated in 2020. That's a little bit about me. Let's get into helping y'all. So you're in high school and you want to work in sports. Maybe you're a sports fan. Maybe you play sports on a team in your high school or a local team, whatever it be, and you want to work in it. There's a lot of trade-offs to working in sports, but there's a ton of benefits and it's very fun to do. And how do you get started in going down that right path? High school is ultimately a time where you want to kind of narrow it down to a couple things of maybe you want to do, or just have an idea of it. But ultimately, it's not the most important process in this step, because you change a lot as you go through those years. So you might change your mind. It's okay. I have friends major in stuff in college and then completely change. So it's really not the end of the road. You just want to get yourself involved in things if you want to work in sports in this phase of your life. If you are a creative person, like graphic design, you want to run social accounts, you are a photographer, a videographer, or anything like that, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can reach out to your high school teams. There's definitely a window there. You can run their social accounts. You can do videography on the sideline. Maybe get yourself a credential, and you can build up that portfolio. Certainly, photo or video, graphic design. The players will love that content. The teams will love that content. And then the families and parents of the kids will love that content as well. You know, when I was in high school, to give you an example, we had just a parent shooting our games, video, photo, just for fun, because he liked doing it. And then I got into it by editing those videos, and I made like hype videos off. And that was one of my first baseball videos ever. To this day, that's how I got into it, and that's how I got to this point, and I'll be forever grateful for that. You can also DM athletes now, I know that happens, and shoot their workouts and get a high-ranked recruit's Instagram going and make him edits and stuff. There's a lot of people who break through in that way as well. Building your portfolio, getting connections with athletes in high school. It's just so prevalent now because athletes just love content as opposed to it was, before social media. If you are not a creative, there's a couple ways as well. And when I was in high school, I took sports marketing, and I don't know if most high schools offer this or what. There might be a sports management or something, an elective. I took that, and that really interested me in a lot of things. We were doing a lot of group projects and whatnot that were creative. So that really helped me as well, get my ball rolling. There's other ways you can do it. Maybe there's like a ticket enterprise or some way you can help out with ticketing at the bigger high school programs, like a Texas football or a Georgia football, or basketball in Indiana, where you're getting huge crowds. There might be ways you can help with sales. You could be a manager for your team. You could, be a high school manager and help out with the logistics of running basketball travel. There's so many different ways you can get into it. I know there's oftentimes teams and enterprises and other businesses as well can come with job fairs and talk to high school students and help high school students understand what they really want to do in the future. Again, it's not really narrowing it all down quite yet because you have time. It's not a jobs fair per se, but it's just people will come and talk to you and just shed light on the industry, and maybe you'll figure out you don't want to work in sports and you want to work more in a traditional business side. So just keep your eyes and ears peeled when you're in high school. There's so many different ways to get involved with sports. Now, when it comes to college, if you want to work in sports, you really can't go wrong in any way. You can choose the big school route, which is what I did. And that's going to give you, bigger audiences, bigger platforms. There might be more internships available to work with the athletics program, just in bigger budgets. But in turn, if you work for a smaller school, there might be no one doing these jobs. There might be no one running the social media account. There might be no one running the travel and the ops and all these different things, the communications, the PR of some of these really small programs. So there's like trade-offs to both sides. If you are creative, you'll have more creative freedom at like a smaller D2 school. You'll have more opportunity. It'll be easier to get media credentials. It'll just be everything on a smaller scale. And you'll have more control of stuff too if you work for a team with a smaller brand rather than like a, Texas or a Georgia or Kentucky basketball. There's armies of people that run this brand, and there's brand control and all these things. So whenever you are picking colleges and where you want to work, those are just two things to consider. When you finally get to college, choosing your area of study can be a stressful thing. You can change it, so don't stress out. But I think the most important thing is if you're unsure of what exactly you want to do, if you know you want to do like ticket sales or ops or marketing or videography in sports, choose a major that is like a blanket over a couple different things, right? That's like communications, marketing, sports management, or sports communications. And maybe there's like a minor where you can kind of target it more towards sports or photography or something like that. And maybe you find out later down the road you don't like the actual photography part of it, so you can stay in sports and work in marketing or digital marketing or creating brand spots. There's so many different possibilities, but I think it's important whenever you are picking a major to keep it broad, unless you're so locked in and you want to do something specific. Then keep it broad, and that just allows you to kind of apply for different types of jobs, learn different things, and you don't have to be limited to just one thing. If I majored in filmmaking at Georgia, I would just be locked in on that my whole life, but I majored in marketing, and that allowed me to apply for digital marketing jobs if I wanted to, or video, or photography, or running a social account. But I knew that I wanted to do videography after a couple of years, but I just kept the marketing major because, I don't know, it was easy. I think another important part to college is to look for internships. That can be at your current school or in the summer times in between your semesters. I was an intern with the University of Georgia for 4 years, as I mentioned, just doing web video, social video, video board edits, and all this type of stuff for all sports, football, baseball, all of it. And it really helped me learn all my technical skills, helped me learn how to interact in like a corporate space. And by the end of it, I felt like a full employee. And I know a lot of people, videographers, creatives, graphic designers, who really come out of those similar type of internships. At Georgia, we also had interns that worked in the sports communications department, helping out with, stat sheets, running the scoreboards, being the liaison between players and media for interviews. There were internships there. There were internships in promotions, handing out promotions at games. That's another way to get into it. There were so many different internships at Georgia that help students work in sports and then ultimately go on to maybe a different thing in sports or something completely different. So I think looking for that at your own school is important first. And then there's internships externally, maybe in between your 2 semesters in the summertime and stuff. Be on the lookout for those. That's what I did. I think in between your junior and senior years, the most important. If you can't get an internship in between your sophomore and junior year, you're still young. It's okay. Don't panic if you can't get one of these, but junior and senior year, I think it's a good time to go off maybe to a different city, different place, get an internship with a minor league baseball team or independent league baseball team. There's so many different things that you can do in the summer times. Kind of gain your experience. It'll give you maybe experience in a professional sports setting, and that is, I promise you, a little different from like a university school setting. There's just different controls of brands and bureaucracy and things that are just a little different minutely. And gaining that experience outside of your school, I think, is really important, especially in between your junior and senior years. You can also, take a semester off. I almost did this. I was offered a job with the Knicks as an intern my junior year, second semester. I would have basically had to take like a 4.5 year, like an extra semester, just to do that. I ended up not doing it, but you can do that as well. Let's talk about applying for jobs. Now, applying for jobs in sports is tough. It's such a highly competitive industry that you might have to apply for a bunch of different things. You might have to apply for a 1-year contract, a seasonal social media internship, or some sort of internship running communications for a year. There's just things that are trade-offs. Ultimately, everyone wants to work in sports, like I said, because it is so fun. So don't freak out if you feel like you're applying to a bunch of different things. My advice for people is just to apply for as much as possible, and that just gives you the options, right? Worst things that can happen is you get a couple interviews, which gives you tons of experience, or you get turned down. Who cares? Applying for as many things as possible just gives you options. I will say the higher jobs, right, in professional sports with, let's say, the Dallas Cowboys or the Atlanta Braves, everyone wants to work at the highest level. So it's going to be very hard right off the bat to get stuff. I happen to be pretty lucky, and that doesn't mean you can't too, but ultimately everyone wants to work there. So it's going to be really hard to get the jobs. You might have to set your sights lower first to build yourself a portfolio or get some experience before you move on up. There's a lot of job hopping in the sports industry, and you'll learn that There's people who spend a year at places for year over year just to kind of climb that ladder. That's just how it works. And let's talk about the best places to apply for jobs. The best places I have found to apply for these sports jobs are Teamwork Online, which will have everything from a janitor at a Premier League lacrosse club to like assistant head coach at a hockey team or social intern for the Seattle Mariners. They'll all be there. There's just such a wide range of things. So that I think is the best sports specific only page to apply. There's other places like Skull Sparks, which will highlight a lot of college jobs. Obviously, the ones like LinkedIn and Indeed will also have these job postings as well. One place to be on the lookout for these types of jobs in sports is the actual teams' websites or leagues' websites. If you go to like MLB.com and the opportunities in the league, sometimes it'll take you to like all our jobs and then also jobs at all the clubs as well. There'll be links. So sometimes if these jobs slip through the cracks on the job posting websites like LinkedIn or Teamwork, look on the actual websites for the teams or the clubs or whatever. Just keep all your eyes and ears peeled for these jobs. Ultimately, everyone has their own path. So if y'all decide to not go to college and you still want to work in sports, it's very possible. There's so many different ways to get to a certain point. Like I said, I had friends choose a major and then completely switch careers. It happens. But I wanted to try and give y'all some insight into how I've done it and how I've witnessed other people get their jobs in sports. Of course, everyone has their own path. So I hope y'all were able to get some value out of this one. If you do have any questions, and there might be a lot because this is such a broad topic, let me know. You can always DM me at PeteChalk on Instagram. I always try and answer every single DM. So thanks y'all for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video.